Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Simona Cotoni and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
Many Americans still aren't coming to Canada. Is the ArriveCan app to blame? Commission investigating Ottawa's use of the Emergency Act delayed until October. Trudeau says Manitoba Premier among politicians being dishonest about the carbon tax. A Tesla driver appears to be asleep as car goes over 100 km per hour on QEW. Toronto home sales down 34% from last year, up 15% from July. Filmmaker Manny Amar killed in fight with Surrey neighbor. Former Vancouver Whitecaps coach Berarda to apologize for sex offenses.
So those were the headlines. Now let's jump right into the details.
Post-pandemic tourists have returned to Niagara Falls, but something's missing a lot of Americans, even though the popular Ontario tourist destination sits right next to the U.S. border. It's devastating, said Ann Pierce, Vice President of Niagara Helicopter, which offer rides over the falls. Pierce says bookings are down to 35% this summer compared to summer 2019, largely due to the lack of American tourists. Now that Canada has lifted most of its COVID-19 restriction, travel is making a comeback. But the number of the road trips Americans made to the country over the past 2 months was still down by 45% compared to the same period in 2019. The commission tasked with investigating the federal government decision to invoke the Emergency Act during the convoy protest has been delayed and will now begin its work on October 13th. In a news release, the Public Order Emergency Commission said its work is being postponed because its chair, former Judge Paul S. Rouleau, has advised that he's required to undergo surgery to address a health issue that has very recently arisen. The commission was formed to assess the government's unprecedented decision to invoke the law in response to the so-called Freedom Convoy protest in February. The formation of a commission to investigate the decision is required by law. The inquiry was scheduled initially to start on September 19th and run until October 28th, and is expected to wrap up its public hearing on November 25th. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accused some politicians yesterday of being dishonest about the effect of the federal government's carbon tax. The comment, aimed partially at Manitoba Premier Heather Stefanson, was the latest episode in a long-running dispute over carbon pricing between the province and Ottawa. Trudeau's comments were in the response to Stevenson's demand for a temporary suspension of the carbon tax to help people deal with inflation. She sent a joint letter earlier this year with the Alberta Premier Jason Kenney and Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe that urged Trudeau to take action. Video has emerged showing a Tesla driver appearing to be asleep behind the wheel while traveling more than 100 km per hour on a busy Ontario highway. Lousy Lesser said she was driving on the QEW near St. Catherine around 7 a.m. on Friday morning when her partner looked over and thought the white Tesla in front of them did not have a driver. Lesser said when they pulled up beside the Tesla, she noticed the driver's seat was reclined and the persons behind the wheel had their eyes closed. She said traffic around them was moving at approximately 105 km per hour. The Toronto Regional Real Estate Board says August sales were down 34% since last year, but up almost 15% from July as buyers returned to the market to take advantage of prices that eased from winter's elevated levels. The board said today the sales for the month amounted to 5,627 compared to 8,500 last August and 4,900 in July 2022. The 34% year-over-year drop was a lower rate of decline than the previous 4 months, but BMO Capital Markets senior economist Robert Kavich saw such figures as a bit of mixed picture. The data comes at a time when the region's real estate market has cooled from the heated conditions seen as the year began. Climbing interest rate and the mortgage rate in the recent month have put a damper on sale and started to weigh on prices, ending bidding wars and encouraging prospective buyers to sit on the sideline and wait for greater price drops. Investigators have identified a man they say was killed when a fight between neighbors in the Surrey, BC escalated on Wednesday. The interrogated homicide investigation team said Manbir Amar died after he was assaulted in the 14,100 block of 61 Avenue around 1:50 p.m. family has confirmed with Awaz News that the victim is the award-winning filmmaker. RCMP had been called to the area in the Newton neighborhood for the report of a fight between two men. A statement yesterday said officer found Amar injured and he later died. A former coach of the Vancouver Whitecaps and Canadian national youth soccer teams is expected to make a public apology today in court for sex crimes. Bob Bivarda, 55, pleaded guilty in February to 3 counts of sexual assault and 1 count of sexually touching for offenses involving 4 different people between 1988 and 2008. Bivarda's lawyer Bill Smart told a sentencing hearing at the North Vancouver Provincial Court that the former coach will make a statement in court today.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Simona Cotoni, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same channel. Adios.